Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Business Morning here on France-24. Let's start, as ever, with a look at today's main business stories, according to the world's press. Billionaire investor Warren Buffett has offered to take over $800 billion of municipal bonds guaranteed by the top three U.S. bond insurers. This is in the Wall Street Journal. The companies guarantee municipal bonds, but also assets backed by mortgages, which are now in trouble. There's been concern that the three would sell billions of dollars in bonds issued by cities and states to keep their ratings high. The Financial Times in London says Yahoo's chances of escaping a takeover by Microsoft are getting slimmer after a key shareholder endorsed the idea of a deal. Legg Mason, which is Yahoo's second largest shareholder, said the deal was a strategic imperative for Microsoft, but that the US software giant will need to enhance its offer. Economists fear inflation in China may rise to 7% compared to January last year. The Hong Kong Standard explains severe weather conditions in the south of the country put short-term pressure on consumer prices. Quoting a survey by global sources, the paper says exporters are planning to increase their prices by about 5% this year as rising raw material costs and an appreciation, an increase, I suppose, of the yuan have already added to the pressure. Now, the world's biggest mobile phone conference is underway in Barcelona, in Spain, great city. This year, participants are positioning themselves for a future when handset users will want to use their phones for a lot more than just text messages and voice calls to their mates.
Sometimes more is more, no longer content to just use their mobiles to make a few calls and tap out some text messages. Consumers now want to surf the internet with minimal fuss. The Mobile World Congress in Barcelona offered a glimpse of what the future might have in store for a market now estimated at over 3 billion euros. Perhaps surprisingly, the most intriguing offering didn't come from a traditional mobile operator, but from the world's leading search engine, Google, which showcased its prototype handsets for a new mobile operating system, intriguingly called Android.
And in the end, I think for consumers, that's going to mean, more choice, more innovation, and we're just happy that the industry seems to be embracing those principles.
Yet Google's appearance on the market hasn't delighted everyone. Vodafone issued a strong warning to fellow mobile operators, saying they needed to dramatically improve the mobile internet experience or lose out to Google or Facebook. With competition and regulatory action lowering mobile phone costs in many countries, the more is more ethos seems to be the only way these operators will escape becoming obsolete.
Well, now, as mobile phones operators are gearing up in a high-tech future, EU officials are trying to rein in the costs of using all those phones on the run. Charges for sending text messages or surfing the wireless web vary widely depending on whether you use your phone at home or abroad. I'm joined now, not on the line, but here in the studio by our business editor, Douglas Herbert. Doug, what's the EU's worry?
I was going to call you,
subject.
Mark.
You're going to call me, yeah. Well, don't text me because I can't switch my phone on,
The buzz phrase right now in Brussels is roaming fees. You've probably heard of this. These are the fees that mobile operators charge people like you and me, depending on whether we are using our phones, say, here in France, or whether we take those French phones abroad and try to send messages to our mates there.
These prices are a scandal, aren't they?
They are, well... This is what happened. Last year, the EU's already started cracking the whip in some areas. Making voice calls now is a lot cheaper. It's been regulated. They're about 60% less now to make voice calls. What they want to do now is start regulating the text message area. There are 200 billion text messages sent annually in Western Europe alone. That's enormous. And Viviane Reding, who's the EU commissioner for the telecom industry, she says she wants the mobile operators to bring costs down 70%. What does that mean? Right now, Mark, if I'm standing here on the plateau, on the set, we call it, and I want to send you a text message. Yeah, you're in France, I'm in France, we have French phones.
You like that kind of thing?
5 to 10 euro cents we're talking about. If you go romping off to Liverpool, okay, and I stay here on the set, as you just well may, and I send you that same text message, it's going to cost 29 to 50 cents. We're talking about a 5 to 6-fold increase.
And is it right it would cost me to receive it as well?
It would cost you to receive it as well, depending on the operators and the country you're in. It gets complicated. But the operators themselves, they have not taken this sitting down. They're basically saying that the competition, the cutthroat competition, has benefited consumers. They say it's going to more so. They are against this sort of price regulation by the EU at the retail level. And they're probably going to fight it. That said, Mark, A few operators, Vodafone, Germany's E+, they have voluntarily taken the step of lowering some of their fees. Vivian Redding says the commissioner hasn't gone far enough. She wants to see more cost cutting in this area by July 1st.
Okay, so we'll obviously keep a line on that one, I suppose.
Keep a line.
Yeah.
Stay here. Don't go to Liverpool.
I still can't work out how to switch this one on. Thanks, Doug. Okay, EU competition regulators raided the offices of Intel, which is the world's largest chip maker, and major European electronics retailers yesterday in Germany and in Great Britain as part of an antitrust probe against the company. Intel's been accused of trying to abuse its dominant market position by selling its products below cost price and making cash payments to customers. TV sitcom and drama fans can get back to their couch and watch their favourite programmes again, as Hollywood's writers have voted to end their 14-week-long strike and return to work straight away. Union leaders reached a deal with studios over the weekend on how much writers should be paid for work put out on the internet. Members are urged to ratify the agreement during the next 10 to 12 days. But I suppose you'd do at the end of that one. Now to Asia. Our Beijing correspondent Henry Morton is there. So, Henry, Chinese mining companies making further forays into Australia.
Yes, Gindalby Metals has agreed an investment plan with Chinese partner Anshan Iron and Steel to help fund a $1.6 billion iron ore project it's seeking to build in Western Australia. Anshan and Gindalby will invest a combined $482 million, with $336 million coming from the Chinese partner Anshan this year. Perth-based Gindalby hopes to start shipping ore from the Carrara project by 2009. We move to Hong Kong, where property prices continue to soar, fueled in part, strange as it sounds, by the subprime crisis in the US. The territory pegs its currency to the US dollar, and so banks have to track the Fed rates, which of course have fallen sharply in the last few weeks because of the housing crisis in the States. This has led to extremely low borrowing costs in Hong Kong, while the rest of the economy continues to boom. However, analysts do fear that the current double-digit percentage growth is fast creating a dangerous bubble in the market. We end in South Korea, where consumer confidence rose to a 5-year high last month as people hope the newly elected government will be able to turn around an ailing economy. However, consumers are still erring on the side of caution in the wake of soaring prices and recent falls on the stock market. Those then the stories making the business news here in Asia today. Back to you in Paris.
Henry Morton there, bright and smiling in Beijing. Before we close this edition, let's have a quick look at the stock markets. US shares rallied mostly yesterday on billionaire investor Warren Buffett's offer to troubled bond insurers. As we saw earlier, Dow Jones, there you go, the Nasdaq and the S&P. And before we leave you, a quick look at how the Nikkei is shaping up in Japan. Those are the main business stories. You're watching France 24. Stay with us.